anyone with a question? Young man right here in front.
Why did you put more coral on the egg creek rather than on the strip?
So he asked why I put more coral on the egg crate than the strip. Well, on the strip you couldn't fit a lot of coral. That was an issue. So we tried. That's something that I would do in the future. I would try to keep it equal. But having 4 pieces of coral total in each section didn't seem like enough to really get a total value. That might be why on the one graph, the one piece of coral that was on the strip was just huge. Maybe those 4 were just anonymous. Yeah.
You only tested a very low level of electricity. Did you think of, I know tank limitations, but in the future, trying more electricity?
Yeah, so she asked trying more electricity. That would be a possible experiment in the future. We're trying to keep it a little safe. Like using electricity and water was a little bit freaky, but it would definitely be a possibility. It's not clear really how much. I mean, they said maybe 9 watts per square meter they used on BioRock, but having the supplies to even run that current, like we had to find the 9-volt battery, 9-volt transformer to use. That was difficult to do by ourselves anyway. So I think
I was just wondering about where did you get the water? And did you change the water so that there were nutrients for the corals?
yeah, she asked where we got the water and if we changed the water. My teacher actually runs a coral project in the back, so he has tons and tons of water that we put salt in and everything. And what you saw, the 2 tanks are actually part of a 6-tank system with a large tank on the bottom. So what you do is you pour water in the big tank on the bottom when the water evaporates and leaves the salt, and so that puts more water in it. And we also test for minerals a lot, and so we'll add more if it needs more. It's something that we do for not just my experiment, but other ones that are there. Yeah.
Actually, follow up on that, Dr. Kern. So how did you decide the current level was convenient?
It was convenient, yeah. It was because we were trying to use stuff we found in the school, and not many things in the school they were happy with us stripping and messing with. And so that's what we had at the time.
And what was the original research current level?
It was 9 watts per square meter of coral. So like when they had the structure, they did it so that they measured 9 watts per square meter. I don't know how they did that. They don't explain it very well.
Use the transformer, I think.
Yeah.
Were there nutrients in the water?
Yeah, so yes, there are nutrients in the water. Yes, there were. We test for nutrients a lot. We have a bunch of different test kits for that. And we'll add them if they're not there. And we keep the levels right. And you had a question?
On your data, it appears there's a dip in the growth graph here. How are you explaining that? And then my second question is, you measured on 2-dimensionality. Were you concerned at all with any loss of information from the 3D?
Yeah, okay. So he asked, his first question was, what was the first question? Sorry.
Drop in the data, drop in size of the
Okay,
data.
so he asked about the dip. Well, I actually noticed on some of the pictures, you could see the coral's tentacles, like they were sticking out. So those would probably be days that there would be a higher area. So if you saw a negative growth, it could have been that the previous week the tentacles were out and this week they were not. So it actually caused the coral to look bigger. That was something I didn't anticipate until I put together the project. And then the second question was,
2D, 3D?
what is it?
2D, 3D measurements?
Oh, yes. I did worry about that at first. I was going to try to do like a side image and a top image, but because the coral grows mostly horizontally, and we put the coral in the middle so that it had to grow out, it couldn't go around the curves, most of the coral stayed within on the surface. But yes, I'm sure that there was some data loss there, but it's something that would be very hard for us to have accounted for.
Actually, involved in that, how about weighing it?
We thought about that, but there would have been variability in it. Like, when you take the coral out, it's wet. You put it in, it's wet again. So it would have had air in it too. That's why we didn't do it. That was an idea that we had thought about. But it seemed like taking the pictures would have been the best idea, the way we had it set up.
Thank you.
you very much, Kelsey.